New Year's resolutions,
Mhm.
in my opinion, are bullshit. Now, here's why.
Strong.
Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome back to the Evolve podcast with me, Lewis, and Sam. How you doing, Sam?
Hello. I'm good. Happy New Year, bro. How long do you have to keep saying Happy New Year for before
Oh,
it's
bro,
weird?
it's one and done. I think I've said it's now
Okay,
2nd
cool.
of Jan when we're recording it,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it again. I'm not saying it again.
In our team, there's a Slack channel that for the product managers, and I've just gone in there. And no one's messaged in there today because I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's working apart from our head of product. I'm the only one that's actually working today because everyone's decided to work on Monday the 6th of January. So I've just put in there Happy New Year, and that's it. That's me done. Going forwards, it's good morning or good afternoon.
No, but you know
Before I started,
the flow's going to come in on 6th of Jan, and
everyone's
you're
gonna
gonna
be
like a
Happy New Year.
dickhead, and you're like, no,
I'm gonna be like, send it in the chat.
yeah,
It's
it's the
done.
second week of the year.
There is
Allow
a
me.
set date you're meant to stop saying it by, though, right?
I think it should be after 2nd of Jan.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like
I think that's fair.
after the first week of Jan, I think you
Yeah,
gotta stop.
I think that's fair. If you
We're
didn't
already
bother,
we're already hundreds of hours into this, and we're already fed
Yeah.
up with the year.
if you
So-
didn't bother to message me Happy New Year on the 1st and you had your chance in the 2nd and didn't do it,
Yeah, no, bro, I've
forget
had
about
one.
it.
I've had one on work emails in like in the 20s of January, and I'm like, we don't need to be doing this.
That's right.
I'm not
That's
happy
right.
at this point. Like,
I think there's two camps. There's a camp we sit in, which is like, we don't care. It's the year
I don't
started out.
care.
It's not that deep. And then there's the other camp of almost the first time you see someone that new year in January, you have to let them know Happy New Year. And I'll respond to it based on how much I like you.
yeah, that's it.
If you're irritating me, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, okay.
But yeah, how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's?
Oh, Christmas was pretty cool actually. We spent it with the Sarah's family. We spent it with Sarah's family. It was pretty nice actually. It's interesting to see how their culture celebrates Christmas, which is less of the
Seasoning.
no, come on, man, come on.
I'm sorry, it was that.
No, relax.
I'm sorry.
You date a white woman too.
It was that. I had to do it. I'm sorry. It was that.
There's the food is well
Sorry.
seasoned. Her dad is a good chef. He's a good cook. He chefed up nicely. I'd say there was less of the, massive buffet to feed 20 people, but there's only 5 people at the table. There's less of that. And there was more of like playing games. There was more of like watching like Christmas movies, which I'm not going to lie. If it's not actiony, and I am the kind of person that thinks Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It's because it is,
If
and
it
you're
came out
correct.
on Christmas and it's got Christmas themes in it, it's a Christmas movie. Not every Christmas movie is Santa.
That's because you're correct. That's because you're correct.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. And that's the only kind of Christmas movie I
you're
like to watch.
well-educated human being.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
But yeah, I refused to watch Elf. There were 2 attempts to coax me into watching Elf. I watched that movie too many times to want to watch it again.
Nah,
on
to be
Christmas.
fair, I give some space for the classic ones. To be fair,
Nah, I've not got time for it. I just
you know what? No, that's fair. You know what? It's all holiday.
the
You can do.
I can't do
You
it.
can do.
I can't
You can
it
do
for
whatever
it.
you want.
But yeah, that was, and then we obviously did the massive exchange of presents, which is quite different because usually it's like me, my mom, and yeah, actually, I usually just do Christmas with my mom. Actually, to be honest, so it was nice. Well, actually, we do Christmas with my mom and Luke's family, but me and my mom will exchange presents by ourselves first. And if I'm with someone like I've been with Sarah for 8 years,
8 years. This is
it's gonna be 8 years we've been together officially. It's like 7 and a bit, but like yeah. If I'm with someone like I am with Sarah, then obviously we'll do our own Christmas, our little get together before I go and see my mom for Christmas on the date itself. But this was different. I didn't see my mom for Christmas, so I've got to do her presents in Jan, which I hope she's all right with. And then Sarah betrayed me by posting her present behind my back. So I'm all there like, I'll bring my present in Jan, and I thought Sarah's one was going to arrive here and I can bring it with me. So I was like, I will bring it in January, and then
It'd be your own people.
I literally get a message like, "Oh my god, tell Sarah I said thanks." And I was like, "Why didn't you tell her?" And then at that point I realized this was an attack. And I know my mum listens to every episode, so I'm saying this knowing that she's going to listen to me. This is a full-on attack. This is an indirect shot at you. I mentioned your name, but yeah, Christmas was good. New Year's was chilled. We had like a small get together at ours with people that live locally. Luke, his missus, and Jamie came to visit. That was lovely. I did a Tesla light show, which was completely ruined by the Scottish storm that blitzed through here on its way out. So we basically got hit with torrential rain. But at least I got to do my little light show, and it's
The
all cool and
problems.
fun.
See now, our problems have got so much better.
They have. Like,
Oh,
we couldn't do like the
my
campfire
Tesla
in the
car
garden.
show got interrupted by rain. Oh God, honestly.
We couldn't do like I had like plans to do like a campfire, have like I've like kitted like the house, the conservatory, my office for like LEDs, and we were gonna do like a little mini rave with the small gathering we had. We're gonna have a good time. I think the weather kind of crapped on a lot of the vibes, and there were a few last minute cancellations, but that's just natural in these kind of things. We weren't trying to do a party, we're trying to do a gathering.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that was successful.
we're
How
hitting
about
that age.
you? How about you? How's your New Year's and Christmas? Because I saw some stories that made me very jealous. That would be bougie.
You know what, man? Yeah, it was good. It was chill. Spent a lot of time with Rosie's family, which is great. Work obviously died down because I left and started my new job today, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I spent some time with my family, and my brother rented a very nice Airbnb, which explains the story that you saw on Insta.
Yeah. They had a piano.
So it did had a piano, had a games room, had a cinema room. No, it was good. So no, my brother, he niced us this year.
I hope the tax man watches us.
He niced us this year, and I'm in a position now where, you know, next year I can chip in and not, you know, be a sponge. So yeah, man, no, it's good, and it's good to be like, oh yeah, I could like help out, and you know,
be a grown man and the family,
because you know my parents are like in their late 60s now, so it's kind of like we're swapping roles with them. And I know you've probably experienced this way earlier than me, because I know your parents are older than you, but much older, sorry, than my parents are.
Not my mum though. Mum, you're young at heart. Don't worry. Don't let him upset you.
But this year it was so clear to me, and I know my mom's gonna listen to this, like, my parents are like teenagers, and like the roles have switched. Like, my brother was like giving, like, he had like the tour of the Airbnb, and was giving the tour to us, so like, you know, we don't fuck up anything. And it's like my dad and my uncle were just like getting distracted every 2 seconds. I was like, can we just focus for 5 minutes and then you guys can go? It was so ridiculous, and I was like, Mum, like, you're all children. I was like, this is actually ridiculous. Like, why can't you guys pay attention and for 5 minutes? And I was like, how's this happening? And my brother was like, me and brother understood. Like, my dad trying to take a selfie and trying to set up a camera for like 3 minutes, and I was like, I'm gonna scream.
But he must do it himself. Like, he must do it himself. It's ridiculous.
And I was just looking at my brother, being like, what are we actually doing here? Like, it's like they're all drunk little toddlers, and it just doesn't make sense. But no, it was good. It was good to spend time with them, and it was the first time, like, I forgot there were days where I was technically working, but I just didn't care. Like, I fully just switched off. And the thing is, I wasn't really getting much requests from work anyway. So I was
company
actually
as well, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good to finally switch off. Rosie and I got the keys to the place New Year's Eve, for the Haywards Heath flat. So, and yeah, I've started a new job today, and New Year's was very chill. So yeah, man, it's weird. Like, the last week I had, like, my goal for last year was to leave my job, and by the end of the year, and yeah, 31st, hand in the laptop and the badge, and I was like, cool. I did what that was like the main goal for the year. Did it by a fraction of a hair, one of my hairs. So yeah, man, it's good. And yeah, started a new job today. So I got my laptop and everything, and you know all the perks that I get with a job. The healthcare's nice, the dental's nice, the discounts are nice on the goods that the company produce. And yeah, so far it's like very chill, and had a chat with my boss, and he's like very, very chill. So he's based in New York, but one of the VPs of the sales team are based in like UK, like based in the London office.
Yeah.
And I don't report into the VP guy. And my boss said to me today, being like, this VP wants you to be in the office, but like 3 days a week, but just know that you don't have to. Like, you don't have to do anything.
He's a good man.
So he's like,
He's a good man.
if you get any pressure to go into the office, like,
Yeah.
just let me know. I'll sort it out. You don't have to go in at all. And I was like, that's music to my ears. I was like,
He's
we're
a
gonna
good
get along.
man.
I was like, we're gonna have
He's
a good
good
time.
man.
So
He's a good man.
that's already a billion times better than my last experience. So yeah, man, it's good. I've been very reflective for what I want for this year. I want to get into really, really good shape. I want to make sure like the editing's like popping off, and I feel like I now have the capacity to like do these things, because at the moment I'm like hyper fixating on like the house move, and then after that I'm gonna have genuinely like so much mental space because of the banks of resilience that I've had to build from last year. So I feel like last year has prepped me very well to attack this year. So yeah, man, it feels good.
That you've got this, bro. You've got this. So in terms of aims for this year, I've actually got I've not got quite a few. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm so used to saying stuff like that after like I start a sentence saying I've got loads of stuff to do. And that actually puts me on the first thing I want to try and cover this year, which is not to actually have too much to do. So I know my mom has been listening to the pod, and the reason why her name has come up a few times is because I have been trying to remind myself to say this statement, which is that she started asking me, "Oh, why don't you ask Sarah to be your accountability manager? And why don't you you need to rest more? I'm really worried about you." At that point, I was just like, "You watched the last episode, didn't you?" But like the madness was, I love her, but she was like presenting it as though it was like her thought, her process, and I was just like, "You watched the last episode. I know you care about me, but you definitely watched it and like you're like reaffirming it." And what usually happens, and I love that she did that, because what usually happens is after we're done recording, our context switch. And admittedly, I forget a lot about the advice you're giving me unless I've written it down, or unless like I message you outside the pod and then we have a chat and you're like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you did say that." So her calling me and saying that, I was just like, oh, damn, she's right. She's right. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Lewis said the exact same thing. So I have fully now employed Sarah as my accountability manager. It's a voluntary role. She's not paid to do it. I pay her with my presence and happiness. Admittedly, it's weird to say that because she's always been doing it. I just haven't listened. But for the first time, I actually am listening, and I'm feeling the benefit of it. You can see my skin is starting to have a bit of a glow. I'm starting to look after myself a bit more. Thank you. I feel blessed. I'm feeling healthy. I feel like my mind is in the right space. Today, I say today, this morning before work, in my lunch break as well, I looked up my PhD, and I still have an aim to complete it as soon as possible, ahead of schedule, and I think I can. I took a look at it and I actually realized I would likely go over the word count of what I'm supposed to write. So I'm meant to be writing about 50,000 words. And then I went to look at other DBAs that was submitted, because although I'm getting a full PhD, it's still under DBA guidelines instead of in terms of word count. So I went to look at others and I was just like, oh crap. They counted their references in their word count. I've not counted referencing. So counting referencing, I'm looking at about 70K if I hadn't checked other people's work before I started mine. So I know there's a lot of references. There's a lot of appendix. There's a lot.
Do they count now? I swear that was never a thing.
It wasn't. It isn't, and it depends. So it depends on the criteria of the university you're going to, or it depends on who you're submitting to. But a lot of places can just let you take out the abstract from the word count. A lot of places it depends on the wording as well. It's a total word count of the document, and if your references is part of the document, it adds towards it. When we did dissertation and stuff, references didn't count. But when a PhD, it's your whole document. It's everything in that document. That's weighted. It does depend on the institution, but actually, what actually is the truth across all boards is that some of them don't even care about the word count. It's about the quality of your work. So you can actually submit 20,000 words as your PhD, and they'll accept it because it's about the quality of the work. If your work doesn't need you to write 80,000 words, you're meant to be doing research. It's a research that matters, not the university's guideline of how many words you need to describe it. And it also saves you from waffling. So yeah, that's what they said. And I think it made me feel a lot better, because I was just like, oh, I can actually do this in the time frame I said it, rather than my usual case of saying I'm going to do something and then we never see it happen. Like the redundancy tales that are still not gone live. We move on. On that note as well, I am one of my resolutions this year. And I hate saying resolutions. I just hate having that title to it. So we're not going to call it resolutions. It's just things I'm going to aim to achieve this year. Have you got a better name for it, Lewis? Is there something else you could call it?
I'm going to let you continue, and we're going to come back to resolutions because I have thoughts on it. But continue.
Okay, we'll deep dive. But yeah, another thing I want to do is I'm starting this business idea with Luke in my free time. The free time being 8:45. Before 8:45, after 5:30. Hi Joe, my manager, who I know watches our episodes now. That's me letting you know I don't do business work during our work hours. Swear. But yeah, I will be looking at seeing if that comes to fruition, seeing how that performs. And it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I'm kind of back in a similar position as to where I was before with anxious extrovert and PhD and all these other things. But I'm taking a wiser approach of my day job pays the bills and I'm focused on that. I'm doing what I'm paid to do and I'm not going to burn myself out. I'm not going to kill the passion idea I have of being an entrepreneur, and I'm not going to let that go. So we are going to look at doing that on the sidelines, but Luke is supporting from a financial perspective mainly, but he's also supporting in terms of helping find resources. So I'm not burning myself out as much on this new idea. I'm also not looking to be a jack of all trades. So we're going to try and hire someone in to do stuff that I don't have the capacity to do. Simple as that, really. And on top of that, the PhD will be done soon. So that'll be off the plate. And I don't aim to replace it with any other form of learning. I aim to embrace that free time that I should be having to myself in the mornings and after work. I aim to embrace the free time where it's possible and focus on this other business idea outside of my day job where possible. And also, my aim is to not go a whole week without content on our socials. That's something I'm committing to. So if we miss a day or two, I mean, I hold my hand up, this thing's happened, and maybe I fall back. My aim is not for it to be a whole week because that's ridiculous. So I've actually been using Buffer, which don't sponsor this episode, but should because we've been rinsing them. And I've been using them to schedule stuff, and it's actually been going quite well. And
Shorts as well? I didn't actually.
Shorts as well, yeah.
Oh, decent. Okay, cool.
It works for all.
I completely forgot. No, man,
yeah,
that's good.
it's been really good.
I think that's a good goal for you to have. I'm glad that you're focusing on not just I want to do this for my business and whatever, but also
I just want
the balance.
Yeah, it's about high level. I'm trying to stay high level this year. High level in my ideas, and I need to be organized with my execution. That's what I've learned from the previous years. I failed to do it. So I've been high level. I've been too granular with my ideas, and I've also been too busy trying to fix the granularity of things to the point where I basically just never get anything done. So I'm trying to be a better planner and kind of stay a bit more high level.
That's good,
and I don't disappoint myself. If I don't get it done, at least I've touched it to some degree.
Yeah,
and tick the box.
I think what's helpful, and I kind of switched this a while ago, and I've mentioned on the pod before, is that I've stopped putting I think it's good to have a plan, but I think it's good to not get hyper fixated on, oh, by the time I'm 30, I want to do this, or this year I have to do this, and just have like the list of things that you want to do and just like attack it bit by bit, because you're never going to do all these things that you want by 30. And I'm not just saying this because I'm getting defensive because I now know I'm 30 next year, but it's like you still have so much time. You do. And the thing is, I think when you hyperfixate on, I need to do this by this age, a very small percentage will go out and do those things like become a millionaire by 30. And that's great. But
that'll hurt my feelings.
most of the people who... No, it's not. But most of the people who do fixate on that don't, because they have that, so much energy has gone into worrying about not hitting the goal that they don't hit the goal. Do you see what I mean? And once I actually freed myself up of not caring about the time when I do things, you actually put that energy into action instead. So you channel that worry into action. And when you're actually doing it as opposed to worrying about it, it's been a lot better. So with that in mind, by December this year, I'm joking, but I think this year for me is not like I'm trying to be easier on myself this year, in terms of like I'm not gonna beat myself up as much.
Yeah.
Because I've had a difficult few years with my job. So I'm actually going to try and enjoy this year. I'm actually going to enjoy this year a lot more whilst working towards the things that I want. But the main thing that for me mentally I want to focus on is actually have my good headspace that I've been in, which is I feel like I deserve where I'm at. I've actually feel like I've put in the work and I'm actually able to enjoy these things that actually deserve what I've got and I deserve what I'm working towards. Whereas beforehand, I didn't really feel like it, but this is actually the first time I feel like, nah, I've paid my dues. I deserve to
You worked hard.
enjoy my bag. I've worked hard,
Yeah.
and I'm going to work hard towards sorting out all these other things. And since my last job as well, I've been very reflective on that period of my life, and all these people who are senior, and you think they should know the answer and they know more than you, and they actually don't. So I'm backing myself more so than I ever have done before. And even though people are like, "Oh, you should do this," if it doesn't feel right with me, I'm not going to listen to you. And I'd rather learn the hard way and do it my way than do something that doesn't feel me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So
I get what you mean.
I'm just backing me a lot more.
That's
I'm just
actually
like,
such
nah,
a fair goal to have, That's actually a
yeah,
really fair goal. Because you got to consider it's that imposter syndrome that you will likely
yeah,
go through and feel, and you can't help but feel it. And it's you're going to have to battle that. I'm taking learnings myself from the previous role around. I'm not going to let people bully me around. I'm not going to let people, shut my voice down or whatever it is. And it didn't happen anywhere near as much in experience as it did previous roles to that. But it still happened enough times for it to cause me frustration, enough time for it
yeah,
to burn me out, and enough time to stop me being able to achieve certain things I needed to get done. In this new role, I'm definitely being a bit more tactical this year. I'm being a bit of a planner in terms of I don't just say things for the sake of saying it. I'm going into conversation. I'm going into like conversations and meetings with a motive, with a plan of what I want to get out of that session, not just
yeah.
on lip service. Do you know what I'm looking forward to building on and, being a better person at is saying no to things. I think it's easier said than done. It's still easier said than done.
Yeah, you'll like this because Rosie says this all the time. No is a complete sentence.
Damn girl.
No is a complete sentence,
Facts.
and she hates it when I use that against her.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Oh, she set herself up for that
I
one.
used this the other day, and I was like,
That's
"That's a
a
complete
facts,
sentence,
bro,
Rosie," and she
bro.
gave me the maddest side eye.
So what you gonna do? What you
But
gonna do?
I was like,
She gave you her
"Yeah,
kryptonite.
yeah," and
I know I'm using that. I
no,
know I'm
it's true
using
though.
that.
It's true though. Like,
That's
it's
facts.
good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm saying things with chest. I'm trying to. One of the things actually, which was I don't think I mentioned in the last session, is that in my last therapy session, which was a few weeks ago now, was that we were kind of going through like the different roles that I play in my life, like employee, and it's like brother, son, like friend, all these sort of things. And I feel like I can be authentic in most of the areas of my life, but the one area that I didn't feel authentic in and felt most stressed in was work. So if I can't be my
Right.
authentic self, it stresses me out because I think it's like this battle of my self-concept and who I am and like who I have to be. So at work, I'm fully being myself. And it started today. Like I felt like this weird battle because like I had to go in to get my laptop and everything. It was only me and one other person in, and she's like a account management lead. Like don't report into it at all. And it was
Yeah.
only just me and her. I was there 9 to 12. And I was like, should I leave? Because like everyone else is working from home. And I had this weird thing of being like, oh, but if I leave, it's bad, or like all this sort of stuff. And I just kind of kicked myself and be like, wait, I don't actually care. And then I just left, and I was like, "Oh, gotta work from home the rest of the day," and it's like just left. And she was completely fine, but it
Yeah.
was that PTSD of micromanagement that I've had for most of my employment, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not bringing this into this role because if I keep on playing to that, people are gonna treat me that way." So I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go home and protect my peace and not just do things because I feel like I want to be seen as whatever." Because I'm now being what I'm going to try and do is basically be more comfortable with the fact that some people aren't going to like things I'm going to do. But if I could
Yeah.
justify why I'm doing it, That's fine.
I think that's the main thing, isn't it? It's about being tactical. It's just about being tactical.
You've
It's
got to
not.
be
And I
comfortable with
think the
uncomfortable,
term,
and
yeah, I'm saying the term tactical, knowing that it comes across to people as it's like snaky or like you're kind of being a bit
no, but you have
manipulative.
to be.
It's not that. You do have to be, but you can do it for the benefit of yourself and others, because people will come to you, especially at work, especially knowing that you've got stuff to do outside work. You've got your business and stuff to run outside work. People will come to you with the sense of urgency they feel.
Yeah.
And because it's work related and it's your work hours, it's a sense of urgency that they assume you will align with, you will agree to. And if you don't, you're the dick, you're the bad person.
Absolutely.
And people will come to you with that level of like aggression. And you kind of have to be tactical, because sometimes even for their own benefit, it's not about burning yourselves out to prove something works. Sometimes you have to prove it to the higher powers that be in the company that you need more support. And burning yourself out to make things work is not a good way of getting more support for things. It doesn't work like that. You have to prove that there's a friction point that needs fixing, and it won't get fixed if they don't do anything about it. So sometimes you do have to kind of play the game and kind of say, no, it's not going to get done.
Yeah. No, that's so true, man. And what is a very, very good sign so far is that I had a chat with my boss and my boss's boss, and they're very aligned in that they respect the team has a set of boundaries, because it's basically a sales support role essentially, and the boundaries are being respected. And they're like, "Sellers going to ask you for this, don't give it to them. Like if they do come to us, we'll sort it out." So it's like a unified front, which is really, really nice. But I'm going to pivot the conversation slightly.
Go on.
Now, I'm going to start with an abstract, if you will. Now, New Year's resolutions, in my opinion, are bullshit. Now, here's why.
Strong. Okay.
New Year's resolutions are end of the year is a great time to reflect, not denying that. However, resolutions, I think, are for people who don't reflect all year and reflect at that one moment. If you reflect all year, you don't need to set New Year's resolutions, because you should be changing those goals and those pinpoints all the time. That is my theory. So I don't think that people should be setting New Year's resolutions. Yeah, I think it's a good practice, but most people don't succeed with their New Year's resolutions. Main reasons why, I've actually done research into this, like from years ago, and Atomic Habits is reflected on this. Once you constantly have your goals in sight, like visually, and you have a constant reminder of it, you're more likely to succeed, because you have the most receptors in the human body are in your eyes. So when you have a constant reminder visually, you're more likely going to succeed. This is why if you write down your goals every day, you're more likely to hit them than not. Where what most people do with New Year's resolutions are just say it out loud, "Oh, I'm going to do this." And then they go gym for a week. Then it gets hard. And then they don't have any reminder to go to the gym. Then they go back to their comforts. The habits haven't you've not even been long enough to stick to habits yet. And then they fail. And that's why fitness is that's why January's mad every single year, and it dies down by mid-Feb. So I think that having a habitual reflective practice is much better, and you have more chance of succeeding than hitting Jan 1st and saying, "I'm going to do this, this, and this," and then just say it into thin air, but you haven't actually put a system in place to hit your goal. Whereas actually, because if you just have a goal but not a system to hit that goal, you're more likely to fail.
Okay. So what you're arguing isn't obviously the idea of having goals to set, which arguably that's what New Year's resolution stands for, is just setting goals. You're arguing that the approach most people take of setting those goals and their reasoning behind it, and then in turn what those goals actually are, is that they're not a good way of setting. They're not a good way of.
I don't think
encouraging success.
I don't think you should wait till if you're in October, right? And you have a goal that you want to hit. Why do you have to wait till end of December to put action towards it?
That's a fair point.
Like, why don't you just start now? Like, January 1st is just another day. Just because it's the end of the year and everyone's put in, "Oh, this year's been da-da-da-da-da." You could still start now.
It's a point of reflection, though, isn't it?
You can change your life around in 2 months. Like, look at me, for example. You really can change a lot within 2 months. If you're do you know what I mean?
I have a counterpoint. So I agree with what you're saying to a degree. In most conversations we have, I do end up agreeing with you what you say to a degree. I would think that setting New Year's resolutions it's not just a case of it's New Year's, let me think of something to say I'm going to stick to, or it's New Year's, everyone else is doing it. Actually, no, it is more of the it's New Year, everyone else is doing it, but it's deeper than that. It's more because it's a socially acceptable point to change your character without it coming across as a friction point for others, or without it being a shock to other people's system that they might encourage you to switch back. So it's almost like in the New Year's resolution, there's definitely a Western thing, because if you went to Ghana and said, oh, this month, when I was in Ghana, when I was little, and maybe people did it, but when I was little in Ghana, I didn't know. There wasn't like New Year's resolution. It was just do better. Like, why didn't you start on Christmas? Why didn't you start on this day? Like, I can imagine like someone with Harry would be like, what, did God forget about December and November? Like, did he forget about all those other months you act in the fall? Why is he going to care now? You know, when we were doing like Lent sacrifices and all these things in Ghana, that was weird. I never knew about that. Like, if you did sacrifices in Lent, it was actual things that bothered you. Like, it wasn't, I'm going to stop eating chocolate. It would be proper vices that you like cut out in certain countries like that. So when I look at New Year's resolutions, I do see it as definitely a Western concept, but I see it as more like I could now say that I'm going to give these things a go, and it's unlikely people will call out BS, or people like try and argue or have a debate as to why I should or shouldn't do it. And there's two parts to it. One part is they think it's just a gimmick thing and it's not going to last long. You're going to give up anyway, so no need to have a conversation about it, which is fine. And the other part is everyone else is doing it. And if this is the year that you want to be a different version of yourself and you want to, test it out for the year, good for you. But ultimately, it means that you can set goals for yourself without having to go through the peer validation of your goal, without having people come and basically say, that's not good enough for me, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I see it.
Okay. I hear you. And whilst I do agree, I agree that it's a good point to reflect and there's less friction. However, if you're doing it in a herd mentality approach, right? Of if everyone's doing it, when other people quit, say you and all your mates, right? If you have that bond of we're all doing this, the minute that starts to fall apart, your why's not strong enough. If you build up your resilience towards that goal with friction, and your why is strong enough to go through that, it gives it more meaning.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like there's a difference between doing it because it's time to do a New Year's resolution and doing it because you need to be able to achieve something. You just don't want to go through the jib with people of having to explain why you're doing it. Like if I said to you, all you man, mid Feb, oh, I really want to go vegetarian, I want to go vegan. Everyone would be like, what are you doing? Like all the boys in our groups will just feel like, well, you stop being a fool, stop being silly, right? If I did this in New Year's resolution, I wouldn't get as much jip about it. I'll get people saying like, oh, good luck with that. Or like, I know people would be like, that won't last long. Even though I wouldn't believe that. That would be like a silly resolution I'd make, right?
I think,
but it's more acceptable for me to give that challenge a go in the first week of January. And it's also that there is a difference, like I said, between it's New Year's resolution, oh my God, let me come up something, and actually reflecting on yourself from the previous year and going, what can I do better this year? Because you've got to have some kind of, for goal setting and being able to achieve things, you've got to have some kind of end point that you can measure that success by. And it's easier to do it from the start of the year to the end of the year. It's just simple maths to do it. As soon as the fireworks go off and everything's gone up, you can be either happy or sad about how well have you done. And everyone has some kind of fitness goal in New Year's resolution. And why so many people have such a fitness goal is because we all let it go by summer. Like we all give up on it. It's very rare that someone, unless it's their job or part of their like personality traits to be a fitness person, that they carry on through that whole journey. Most people just give up on it at some point, and then we set it again in the new year. So there are frivolous things that we all do, and it's fine. But it's also kind of considering the idea that that's what most people use as their time marker for success. They will get to. I watch all our friends who said like, "Oh, I want to get abs this year," and as soon as summer is done, watch how long that lasts for.
Yeah,
if they do get the abs, watch it all disappear. I'll be like, I thought you wanted to have abs this year.
That's been on your list
we're
every
done with
year
it now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's
So
true.
I aim for that not to be me, and I wouldn't have a choice now because I'm fighting at the end of the year, so I don't have a choice but to try and keep abs for the whole year, right?
I think New Year's should be. I think it's just an overrated. I think it's overrated, and I think what would be better is what I've mentioned this before. It's like, say you using your example of, oh, I'm gonna go vegetarian.
Yeah.
Just be vegetarian, and then don't tell people about it. And then it's because, oh, Sam, I'm gonna eat here, whatever. Be like, oh, nah, vegetarian. You go, what? And you go, what happened for 45 days? And I go, oh.
Yeah.
And then there's more validation to it. It's not like your mate just randomly saying, oh, I'm going to pick up all my shit and move to this country or whatever without any sort of like mention of it before, because it's just out of character. But if you have evidence of your character, then it's more valid. But I hear that New Year's is a time where people will say stuff and it's more socially acceptable. However, when we've been on the planet for a decent amount of time, I just know people are just chatting shit.
True.
Statistically, it's like 70% of you won't hit your goal, and
you should try though.
You should try, but you should try. But there's motivation is very, very thin. It's very easy for everyone to be like, yeah, we're all gonna do this, and then it's not like, funny story. A few years ago, a group of mates of mine all tried to do dry Jan. They all tried to do it. They all failed after one person cracked in 2 weeks. And they're like, oh, we're going to be all wholesome. They went to a museum. They did a museum like, oh, yeah, what a wholesome day. Look at us not drinking.
You realize they hate each other?
Then they came back to the house, got shit-faced. And I was just like, this is what I mean. And when people are like, oh, Lewis, you're not doing dry Jan. I was like, no, because I'm going to drink. And also, I know I don't have an alcohol issue. So it's not a big deal for me. And also, I'm going to do 4 months of not drinking because it was like marathon training. So it's like, so I don't need this because it's not really a thing for me.
But then it's not. It wasn't a for however many people in that group. It wasn't a resolution. It might have been for the one person. It might have been for the first one that caved and they just gave up. But it seems like for everyone else, it was just. It seems like for everyone else, it's like a competitive factor, and that's the other thing as well. When it's like a herd mentality resolution, it's not actually to make myself better. It's more just to make myself better than you. Like it's not to do it for me. And I think that's what's different. We set goals for ourselves pretty much throughout all of last year, whether or not we hit them or not. We set a lot of goals for ourselves. And one thing I think I failed to do and has had a negative impact on a lot of the goals I've tried to set is I've not written it down, like you said. Like I said earlier, I've not noted it somewhere and had a tracker to kind of say how far along this goal I am, how successful have I been. And it is it's different when your goal is time-based. Because time-based goals just, for me, it seems painful. It seems like time goes slower when I have a time-based goal. So if I have a goal to stay a certain weight for a certain amount of time, there's nothing I can do to make time move faster.
Yeah.
So then, me being the impatient person I am, I have no impatient. The weakness of an impatient man is the fact that you've not got the ability to control time. That is literally it. It's the fact that I can't, even when I go for a run, I'm meant to actually set time-based goals for my runs. I'm not meant to like try and run a marathon as quick as possible. My coach is telling me you just have to be able to maintain a healthy pace for this amount of time. I hate it. So what I end up doing is I change it into a distance goal and I just sprint half of it and then cry about it and then end up walking the rest of it. Yeah. And the average is like the same amount of time I would have taken anyway.
If you just pace it up.
Like, but it seems, and it would have hurt less and my joints would be fine. But it seems almost like you want to put more effort in. So it does get to a point where you kind of get bored of almost like the goal itself. And it becomes like, oh, I'm kind of just done with it now. Yeah. And it's been tenacious enough to be like, keep going. I think you're right in terms of the why. So do you have whys for your goals this year? Do you have whys that you want to talk about?
Yeah. And just to wrap up on resolutions, I think resolutions are valid if you write them down. If we're just chatting and, as you say, keying about New Year's resolutions, and then it's just like, it just goes into thin air. If someone says, oh, this is my New Year's resolution, I would ask them, where have you wrote it down? If they say, oh, it's actually on my board or I've wrote it down in my journal, I'll be like, cool, okay, you're actually serious about it. If you haven't wrote it down, you're not serious. Because if you can't even be asked to write it down on a piece of paper or something to validate your goal, I'm not going to take you seriously. I'm just not. But I think my whys, I mean, like you have like different whys for different categories. I think for fitness, for me, it's very much like I know when I exercise, I feel good, and I think it's kind of like a feedback loop. Like if I work out, I feel good, and then if I end up looking good as a result of my working out, then I'll feel good as well, and I feel healthy. Because when you look in the mirror sometimes, and you have one of those days, and you just go, "I look like ass." Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't like that. But when you when you look at yourself in the mirror, you go, "Oh, you know what? I've been looking after myself," and it's like cool, and it's like it reinforces like you're doing the right thing. I know I'm a better person when I work out. Like generally, I'm a happier person. I'm more switched on. I'm a better partner to Rosie. There's no downside to me working out healthily. Like when some people have like their addictions and like they channel it into working out and then they overwork out and they injure themselves. That's not good.
Yeah.
But a well-balanced workout routine and diet, like there's literally been no downside to that. Other things, in terms of like that's like my health. In terms of my work, I think that's going to feed into a lot of interest, like the editing and investing. I want to get into like investing again, like investing into like stocks and like becoming more financially literate. Because the main blocker for that has been genuinely just income. But as a result of me reducing my expenses and increasing my salary, that helps bring those goals to life. So that is probably one of the most areas that's going to be most increased over the past few years. Those are kind of like things that I have in mind. And those are like the main couple of things. Like, you know, Rose and I have our own like relationship goals. Like we, after like our 1 year last year, February, we're like, oh, what do we want to do this year? And compared to like our first year, we were like, oh, we'll go on holidays. And so we're like, okay, we're going to go on a few holidays this year, and we're probably going to do the same again. When it comes to our second year, like, okay, what do we want to do for this year? Because now at that point, we'll live together. We already would have gone on one holiday because I'm taking her away for her birthday. So we're already taking off those goals. So it's like, what other goals do we have? So I like that dynamic that we have. It's kind of like a business partner, but your relationship is the business. It doesn't work for everybody, but those are some things that we'll do like a relationship audit, but make it nice.
We're good. End of year review for your whole relationship.
End of year review, yeah. We're gonna renew the contract. But yeah, man, those are the kind of things. I mean, I'm moving. Obviously, I'm moving away from like my friends and stuff, so it's going to be an overwhelming time probably over the next months or so. But at the same time, they're all positive changes.
Get used to it,
which is great. But one thing which I did actually, which I didn't tell you, is that end of 2023, I saw Timothy Armour did this, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. Is I wrote an email to myself in a year's time, and I scheduled it to basically say like, right, these are the things that I hope has happened for this year, and I kind of like had like a list. And it's like if you ticked off like most of these things, like you probably had a good year. If things that you didn't hit, wonder like deep, kind of like evaluate why. Maybe it's something to focus on for the following year. Yeah. So, and I completely forgot what I wrote in this email. So I read it because I was like, because I forgot. I even forgot I scheduled it to myself.
Oh, so it actually came through. Oh, you did it last year and it came through.
Yeah. So it came through. So it came through 31st of December. So yeah, 2 days ago. I read it, and I hit most of the things which I wanted to do. The main thing was getting out of the last job, and I was like, yo, and it says, hope you're still in the same relationship. I was like, I am. Cool. And yeah, I kind of like said, I hope like these things have happened. And it's literally said like, do not sign up for another marathon, please. Didn't do that, so that's good. Did a couple of half though. But it's like, So that it was good because I know it reminded me of the growth of last year,
That
which
was
is great.
such a nice email to get.
And it was good to actually, because like it's so easy to get into your own head to be like, oh man, this is kind of shit. But then actually after reading that and the things that I was concerned about 31st of December 2023, it's actually been a lot better than I had anticipated. But I ticked off like the most important goals for last year, which is good. And I scheduled myself another email to read at the end of this year. And again, I did it at like 7 a.m. So I can't even remember what I wrote down. But yeah, it's a good practice that I took from Timothy. And I think it's a practice which I'm probably going to end up doing, because it's like a weird way of it's like a reverse New Year's resolution. It's kind of like, I hope you did this. It's kind of like a reverse one.
Lewis, I'm going to give that a go.
It's like an old year resolution. It's
I'm
weird.
going to encourage all our listeners right now to do the same thing.
I really like it.
It doesn't matter when it doesn't matter when you hear this episode, but this is your official reminder that after listening to this, even during, if you're on Spotify, you can just open up your email on your phone, watch your list, whatever it is, just do that. I'm going to give that a go. I'm committed to doing that tonight. I'm going to write a very short email, whether it's 2 sentences, whatever. I'm just going to write a short one. Because I remember they did something similar in when I worked at uni days. The HR team came through and went, everyone write a goal for what you want to have achieved this time next year. And then this lady's amazing. Her name's Ollie. Her name's Holly. And then I forgot all about it. I was just working. I was having a really crap day. Like the manager was annoying me and all these things. I was just like, I can't be asked to be in this team. Because whilst I was doing the production stuff and I was just done with it all, I was just so pissed off with everything. And she came and just dropped a letter on my desk, and I was just like, what's this? Like, I literally didn't even know. I didn't even recognize my own handwriting when I addressed the letter to myself. So I opened it and I read it, and I literally, like, a part of me teared off a little bit. And it wasn't because it had all gone well. I actually hadn't achieved not even half of what I set out to do. And that was my trigger point to be like, I need to do more with my life. Like this whole like waiting for someone else to give me an opportunity. I'd done this whole like listening to this dude basically direct my life for a good 3 months because I couldn't make a move without his permission. I'd done all of that, and I was just like, that was my switch. And I'm not gonna lie, money's been better and better every year since that switch happened. Since I became accountability for since I became more accountable for my own success in terms of realizing that you can't wait for something to come to you. You have to go and get it yourself. You can't wait for someone to give it to you. And most people who tell you to wait for them to give it to you, it's because they're in front of you in the queue and they don't want you to go past them. They're just like, no, wait, let me sort it out for you. And I'm just like, okay, I'm giving you the chance because you're an authority figure. But it's been months and nothing's happened. And I know it does nothing to you if I just went and did it myself. So why won't you let me? So why won't you let me book a meet with this exec? Why would you let me have a catch up with this person? Why would you let me do that? It's all in my free time. So why does it bother you? And it basically just, I quickly became aware that it wasn't that it made me bad at my job because I still did my day job. It was that it was in his way towards his success. And it wasn't wait, I'll sort it out for you in the kindness of my own heart. I'll spend an extra 2 hours having conversation on your behalf. It was wait, let me get what I want, and then you can go do the hard work you're already going to do anyway. But I would have already got to where I needed to, and you're not going to step over me. And that's not always the case everywhere else. Some places people do actually know what's better because they've tried to do it themselves and they've got advice on that. But that was my switch to kind of be like, okay, listen to people. Don't just hear and walk on, but listen to people, take it on board, and then still think what's right for me. Because an advice I gave to myself since I read that letter, and something I stick to, and something I always tell everyone else, is that people would give you advice based on their experience and their knowledge, and that's the limitation of their advice. We don't know everything. We're not omnipotent, right? We don't know every single piece of knowledge in the world. So when you go to an authority figure and ask them advice, realize that that's based on their experience in that time they've done their job. There's always new knowledge to be found. There's new experiences to be found. So when you get advice from people, it's looking at it and kind of going, okay, well, how would it apply to me? And assessing it from that perspective rather than just taking it all as gospel. Because the other piece of the advice is when it goes to crap, they can walk away from it. You can't, because you're the person that has to suffer the burden of that advice.
Yeah.
It's like when I watch Hollyoaks, or when I don't watch anymore, but when I watch like soap operas and stuff, and like there'll be like really like heart gripping sad moments in it, and I'd be all like wrapped up in how like sad the story is. Or when I watch like reality TV, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's horrible what that person's doing. Oh my god, I hope she suffers and all this, and I hope he suffers and all these things. And then I have to pause and be like, well, that's not me actually. That's their life. Actually, hold on a minute. That's not my life. That's theirs. Like that's their burden to face, and it's sad for them, but that's their burden to face. And it's looking on yourself and kind of being like, oh, okay. So when you listen to other people's advice and they start controlling the direction your life goes in, you just need to remind yourself that if it goes great, they'll be the first person in line expecting you to thank them. If it goes terribly wrong, they'll say, oh, sorry, but they're not going to join the punishment queue with you. If you end up becoming bankrupt because of a financial decision they made, they're not going to basically sit there and be like, oh, I'll go bankrupt on your behalf, or I'll cut off my leg on your behalf. No, they will literally just be like, oh, I'm so sorry that's happened to you, and keep it stepping, because they've got to protect themselves as well. So it's having that respect for yourself. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's also my why as to why I'm going to do a better job of saying no this year.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the you mentioned a couple of the biggest lessons that I learned from last year. The no one's coming to save you is so real. That's one of the lessons that I've had. And your why has to be as strong as anything. And I saw this clip the other day, and it reminded me of how I ended up getting my new job. And it's like, if you had, like, loads of people want to be a millionaire, right? And it's like, you know, most people unfortunately won't hit that goal. But say you were given 6 months to become a millionaire, or you die, right? Your movements would be completely different. Like, the things that you do would be completely different. The way you think would be completely different, because you're like, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. And for me, the reason why I say that why your why is really important is because the new job was my lifeline out of a potentially very difficult situation. And I was like, if I don't do this, my life is going to be ruined. Or if I don't get this job, like, my life is going to be very, very difficult. And it was when I read that book, Relentless, and I was like, I'm leaving no stone unturned, and it has to be absolutely crystal clear that I'm the person for this job, and it can be nobody else. And it's like, and I'm going to do absolutely everything in my power to get this job. I did not have that approach for any application ever. Ever. It was not that dire of a situation. And I knew that it wasn't going to be that dire situation to anybody else applying, but it would be for me. And I was like, I'm going to channel this worry, this anger, these frustrations, like, into this, because it's the only option I had. When you think you have other options, like, you're going to half-ass it, or you're not. So I'm taking that lesson forward, and I know now I'm in a much better position, and it'll be very easy for me to be comfortable and not even like pursue editing or anything like that. But I'm gonna try and create some angst for me to channel it like I did to get this job. You see what I mean? And again, it's like no one's coming to save you, because
Sometimes it's good to have a chip on your shoulder.
It's true. But it's like, if you ask any, like, listeners who are like in their early 20s, ask anyone who's 28, 29 where the last 8-9 years went. Ask them, because it went like that. So if you're half-arsing on these grand goals that you have, 10 years goes very quickly.
True.
Very quickly.
That's so true.
So you have to have, what I've learned basically, Sam, is that you have to have a sense of urgency in everything. And this is one thing which I've really kind of like developed over the last year. And it's like, I don't procrastinate anything. It's like, oh, we got to watch him do it. And sometimes we go, oh, it's okay, leave it later. I was like, no, it's in my head now. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. Everything in my head, I'm like, no, it has to be done now. It has to be done now. I'm ridiculously impatient, and I know it can be quite inconvenient in other areas of my life, but at the same time, it's getting shit done. And so I'm not going to change that aspect about myself. I could probably tone it down in other areas, like with people, but with tasks, absolutely not. Like, if I wake up and like, oh, I can't be asked to out of bed, I'm like, I'm switching it to, nope, has to be done now. Has to be done now. Oh, I saw Ben needs to get emptied. No, have to do it now. Have to do it now.
Yeah.
And once you have that as your default, you get so much shit done.
100%.
So I'm taking that into this year with so much shit. So no, man. I'm looking forward to this year, man. It's the most optimistic I've been about a year in the longest time.
I'm excited. I really am. There's so much happening this year. I'm getting married. I'm turning 30.
Yeah, man. This is a big year for you, actually.
This is a huge year. Like, it's a huge one. And it's you know what? I've gone past the threshold of, oh my God, I'm going to, like, I'm past the threshold of being excited. I think the excitement will come closer to the dates of each thing. But at the moment, it's more like the dates are going to come up so quick, and I'm already so aware of it. Because I had this feeling midway through December, and we're already on January the 2nd, and it's already like nighttime on January the 2nd. And in a few hours, it'll be the 3rd. And then
6 paydays, and then you're married.
Literally.
Like, that's nothing.
Exactly. There is. Exactly. Yeah. So it's just nuts, dude. It is nuts. And HMRC are being difficult as usual when you start a new job. So that's my one gripe of the year so far. But you know what? Yeah, it's knowing that all these great things are going to be coming at the end throughout the year, and touch wood, we don't get to war, and they don't try and draft me.
Wow.
I promise you, I'm running. You better give me a desk job if it happens.
Bro,
I promise you, I'm running.
Wait, millennials and Gen Z, like, we're not doing that. We'll be like, nah,
I'm not risking my life. I'm not doing
my mum. She says I can't go to war. I'm sorry.
All these brave hearts out here, like, oh my God, you wouldn't go to war for this country.
No,
I'm not going to die for anyone.
Right. But yeah, man. It's I'm excited, man, and I think biggest lesson. I think biggest lesson to everything, but another lesson I think is that in order to have a life of abundance, you have to believe that you actually deserve it.
100%.
Because in your head, if you think, oh, nah, it's not going to happen for me, it won't. Like, you have to get to a point where, and it takes time. It's very difficult to do, but you actually have to believe that you deserve these things and that you're worthy of them, and that, it should come to you, and you're worthy of it, of these things coming to you. And I think another goal, I mean, it's kind of like another asterisk to or another addition to the goal I mentioned earlier, but it's the self-talk. Self-talk is the most important thing. Because if you say you're a piece of shit, or if you say that, oh, you're sexy and you're right. Whether you whatever you say to yourself, you're right. Because it's only you have to be you. You have to live with you at the end of the day, man. So yeah.
My other thought was,
I'm looking forward to it.
As boring as sleep is, as boring as going to bed is, it's been helpful taking this winter break. Because you gotta realize this was my first.
This is 38 episodes. Whatever this is.
This is my first break. The Christmas, New Year's has been my first break since the redundancy process. Since all of that, that's actually been my first official time off work. You got to think, like, months of working silly hours, being made redundant, jumping into a new role. As soon as I left that last team, which still think is amazing. Definitely thankful to be in my new company though. Joined pretty much, let's say I left on a Friday. Technically my last day experience was like 30th of November. Started the new job the first Monday after that. So I've not had breaks. I've had weekends, but I wouldn't class those as holidays. You get loads of weekends. So this is the first whoa, time off work. I've loved it. I've actually loved it because I've fully felt myself be rejuvenated. I fully felt the reset. It set back my research work because I refused to do any coursework in that time period. I've just kind of relaxed. It did kind of push back the deadline a bit, but it's been worth it, dude, because I genuinely feel awake. There's days where I feel tired, but it's a natural tired. Days, and the day's dragged. It's not 12. Yeah. It's not like lunchtime and I'm already I need to go to bed.
But the thing is for you though, is that you need to take breaks before you break.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's literally that.
That was an accidental bar, but seriously, you actually have to take breaks before you break. Because if you're and you burn out, you're already way too far gone.
Past, yeah.
Yeah. So just make sure
that's basically it.
Yeah, you need to make, and that's what your accountability manager is for. Like making sure, even like bi-monthly, you take a little bit of a break or whatever. But
It's good.
That's what should be done, man.
Have we got any main goals? I know we're about to kind of bring it to a close now. Have we got any main goals for the podcast this year that you have in mind?
Continue what we're doing. Be consistent. Yeah, invest more into the episodes. Do more research. Prep. I think we have more room for prep now because
we do.
We honestly, like, from the 20s onwards, like we've been fucking going through it. So I think we have more mental capacity to be a little bit more obsessed.
Yeah, do a little bit more for you guys.
Yeah. I want to do more like than just post reels. I kind of want to post more outside of it, where we can talk about, like, I don't know, I could do a post about like journaling, or you can do one about therapy, or like, I don't know. I want to just be more than just like a TikTok page. So yeah, looking to grow and expand in a multitude of ways and actually give it some thought, and then basically invest more into it. And we're already starting doing that. So yeah, man, I'm optimistic for this year. I think it's a good year for growth for
I certainly am. It's 2nd of Jan, and our numbers already looking more positive than arguably the last third of the last year. So we're now on actually a really good positive trajectory. It's really inspiring, and I know it's a bit like, oh, now we're catching a bit of momentum. Now I care, but it is motivating to see that people are interacting with the content a lot more. We've definitely got a good cadence of getting things done, and I'm excited to introduce more into the episodes itself, whether we kind of make it more. I know you said you want to do more through the stories, but I think one thing I've always wanted to look into, and I'm not committed to do it because I said I'm going to have goals at a higher level. I'm not going to have very granular, this is exactly what I'm going to do goals, but I'd be interested to look into kind of doing more on the stories, doing more, because I will say I'm seeing the analytics on our YouTubes, and more people need to subscribe because we're going to be doing more stuff, especially through our socials, to kind of get you guys interacting a bit more. We're going to be doing a lot more kind of asking you guys questions, and maybe, just maybe, I want to see how this goes, and we probably need to plan it a bit more. I want to look into scenarios and that kind of things, and kind of hearing people's stories from work and hearing people's stories from their business ideas and talking about that a bit. I think that'd be quite nice.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was going to say, I know we have people close to us that have businesses that share their stories with us, but it becomes disorganized when it's just through like general conversations. So all you man that are watching this, when we ask the question, resend your stories through again. That'd be much appreciated.
We can go into a Reddit page about like because I went on one when it was about like job hunting like nightmares, and people have been people can go through it on there. So like we could even read like dilemmas on there or something like that. And stuff like that.
We're a bit more than team.
I know.
This is a planning episode.
Anyway, guys. Thank you for being here. It's the first episode of 2025. Hope you enjoyed. We are going to be once again posting these on a Monday from now on. So if you guys are in the office, Monday's your day to kind of reset the week, go in with some growth. And I think it's better for everyone's mindset, because on a Friday, you guys are switched off. Let's be honest. So it meant
switched off
on a Monday.
Even I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear motivational stuff on Friday. I want to go chill. I'm going to sit down and think about what I'm going to do on Saturday and Sunday. Exactly. I want to think about all the business talk.
I think it actually makes a lot more sense. So we'll switch. Hope you guys enjoy, and see you guys next week. Take care. Peace.
Bye.